Okay, we're starting with this. This is, of course, a story about the greatest tennis player of all time, Serena Williams. She says she will not attend the Tokyo Olympics unless she can bring her daughter with her. So what are your thoughts about this story? And Shireen, for example, how do you balance professional opportunities and parenting?
Well, first of all, I think Serena Williams has been so sincere in the way that she operates on the court and she engages in her sport. She's never shied away from the fact that she takes Olympia everywhere. Now, not all of us have that resource to be able to take and afford childcare as well and not be away. I mean, I have used in-home daycare of people. I've relied heavily on families. As we all know, it requires a community. I was a stay-home mom for 10 years. And then when I went out for my first job, the logistics were always the thing that worried me. And if my kids weren't with me, I would be like, I wonder if they're okay. And every time the school called, I would get that panic, right? So, I mean, she has the ability to be able to take her daughter and whatever helps her function and do her job best. I also love that she's creating a precedent for women that want their children on the job in professional sports.
I totally agree with what Shireen said. And I think about it in terms of even what we've seen throughout this pandemic and a lot of the conversations that we've had in terms of balancing motherhood, work outside of the home, childcare, and all of these different conundrums that have come up just over this year and a bit. And I think about, even though Serena is somebody who's got the privilege and the support that maybe other moms might not have in a way to be able to facilitate the types of childcare and the things that she needs, she's made a stand. She's set a boundary for the way she will compete. And she's really setting an example for herself and other mothers of how you integrate motherhood into your outside work. And I think about it in terms of experiences I've had with my kids and various aspects of my career where I used to apologize for my kids' presence or the things that would require me to leave work to attend to them. And I realized, like, my kids are people. I chose to bring them to this world. I'm not apologizing for their presence, and we'll just find a way to make this work. So if that's what Serena is doing, all power to her, and I totally support that 100%. And I hope other moms find ways to be able to do that, and our society shifts to allow that too.
Kayla, I'm curious. You obviously, you're a working mom with a young child. Yeah. I'm curious about this from both perspectives, both looking at Serena Williams' situation, because she obviously is at a certain age and stage of her career where she can kind of, actually put a line in the sand and say, this is what I'm doing. So I'm curious about your opinion about that, and then also your personal experience.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, Serena says that she wants to be around her child, but because Serena can have her child around her everywhere. Great for her. I think obviously I support the fact that she has created those boundaries. As B said, she's created her list of what she wants and what she needs in order to feel comfortable as a working mom. But the reality is not all moms have that benefit. They have to put their children into childcare. For me, when I had Levi, I was spending so much time with him. And then once he turned a year, I had to leave him for a whole month. And that was because I was covering the Amazing Race Canada. So he was with his grandparents and his father, but our relationship was boiled down to FaceTimes. And I think I only saw him twice in the month. And as moms would know, or as moms can imagine, there's a heap of shame that comes with it. But what I learned in that time was, listen, motherhood for me and in my career and with my wonky hours is not going to look traditional, and I need to get okay with that. But I think what this does raise is a very, very important conversation about what workplaces are doing to help accommodate working moms. How is their emotional IQ when it comes to understanding the juggle, the fact that we have to, be all the things that sometimes, and also take care of our kids as well. There's examples, especially in sport, of, the fact that you have to, whether you're or not, you have to choose when we think about the NCAA women's tournament, if you could bring your child or not, or bring a coach instead. And that is not a fair choice for any mother to have to make if they're a coach on a team.
I think we never talked about this in terms of men. Go ahead, Shireen.
The discussions of COVID have brought to light the amount of emotional, psychological labor that mothers make that was honestly never really recognized. So I do appreciate what both Bea and Kayla have said here, because there's moments where we're taking Zoom meetings, we're at home and we don't have a choice because we're at home with our kids. And then we've had cats and we've had children. My children are older in early 20s, and also I'm a single mother. So the logistics part that I mentioned earlier is an added thing. Accommodation is incredibly important. And what are the boundaries that we're able to push? And first of all, why are there boundaries? Like, why can't we set what we need to do? And that's something that I hope is an ongoing discussion that we revisit.
Yeah, I think it has to be. It's the next phase of conversations, because there's been this mass exodus. We know during the pandemic, women leaving the workforce because they can't juggle both. And I feel like this is so tragic. And this is very specific to the sports world, but I mean, I can obviously relate. I went back to work, Kayla, like you were saying early, like on this show. I think we were 12 weeks in, and I'm not going to lie, it was really, really hard. I did bring my son to work, obviously, that day when we were doing a photo shoot, but I found this profound, what you were talking about, Kayla, like guilt, and also just like a kind of visceral separation. I was breastfeeding, so I think I just felt so vulnerable, and it led to a lot of emotional stuff. And I remember saying to one of my bosses at that time, could I bring my son to work, even just some days? And again, I don't hold it against her. She was just like, I don't think we can do that, because if we accommodate it for you, it's that piece of lack of fairness. Because imagine any other mother who's in there who also is going back to work and is struggling to make ends meet for all those reasons. But again, I don't know what the answer is. I feel like there needs to be more workplaces that step up and think about this as a part of your business plan and how to accommodate both men and women in the workforce.
Absolutely, because we're not even talking about this when it comes to men.